Odyssey to Dominion.
Hello everyone, this is KFA from KFA Studios. This video is just some tips and some information about the novel Odyssey to Dominion. I've been making videos about it so far and I'd like to make a short recap or a long one depending on what I will bring to the board. Okay, so we'll start with a question. From what you've seen so far about the videos, I'd like to ask that maybe you pause or you hold up and comment what you think about Nitri so far. Though according to the video, you may not know much about her, but if you've read the book, you at least have some thoughts about her. So make sure you comment what you think so far about her and let me know. Alright everyone, I presume you've already made your comments. So let's stick with the first case, what the world thinks about Nitri. So Nitri Elnora Alcor, popularly known as the Nightmare World Ending Calamity. The world did encounter her, and according to them, she is this big bad guy who just went around causing mass destructions over the earth. There are instances where the rumors are exaggerated to the point that she wiped out mountains and created valleys and just erased entire oceans. Though she is capable of doing that, those information are highly exaggerated because of one of her passive skills, which is the fear skill. This skill basically strikes fear in her opponents and make them think of her to be something of a monster, but in natural sense, she's just who she is. The second case is from Azuria. Azuria is a nation created by Nitri when she returned to Earth after wandering in the realm of monsters. This nation have so much faith and trust in her that when they heard rumors of her going around causing such destruction, they did not believe it and wholeheartedly defended her. There are instances where some of them saw her in action. They know how powerful she is, but they know that whatever she did it for the right reasons. Now back to who Nitri really is. She is an orphan born in one of the nations. She was adopted into a noble family. It was basically a good life, but the nobleman had his own plans. His plans did not go through, so he decided to get rid of her, and that's what resulted in her ending up in the Abyssal Sanctum, which is one of the most difficult dungeons on the continent. This dungeon is so difficult that only 7 of its floors have been discovered, and that's actually impressive considering the levels of people at that time. However, this dungeon is over 100 floors, and yet only 7 floors has been discovered or conquered. Nitri got up from the 11th floor downwards and went all the way to the final floor, conquered the entire dungeon. It was at this point that news of her spread to an elder god. So this guy is just, like a god of war. He heard news of Nitri and just wanted to recruit her to become a dark lord so that he just sent her off to cause destruction and all those stuff. However, Nitri didn't want to do that. She just wanted to continue being a dungeon away from society, just to live peacefully. But this guy had other plans. So he came to her to recruit her, and the negotiations didn't go through, so it resulted in a fight. And Nitri lost, obviously. After all, she is just a high-leveled human against an elder god. There are rankings in gods too. The rankings are, there's the demigod, which is the start. From demigod you go to there are 3 other ranks there, then you get to god rank. After god rank, elder god, next is the chief god, ancient god, and primordial god. So primordial is the final rank in godhood, and that's basically the strongest of the strongest on earth. So Nitri fought against this elder god and she lost, which is obvious. But she managed to escape to the wilderness, the realm of monsters. Some call it the land of dragons, some call it the land of titans. Basically, it's a land where the monsters, their size is ranging from 500 meters all the way to 3 kilometers, and that's the average sizes. There are some that are way bigger than that, and they literally touch the clouds. So Nitri made it to this realm. She spent the rest of her childhood there and her early teens. It was in this realm that she grew from a normal lord, that's her rank, a lord adventurer or lord rank, all the way past godhood to calamity rank. So you see, the difference between a calamity and a primordial god is quite huge. It's like the earth and the sky. You see, if a primordial god has enough strength to affect the entire continent, let's say like a primordial god can destroy the entire earth, a calamity can destroy the entire universe. So that's just the difference in strength. So Nitri became a calamity, and not just any calamity, she became a king calamity. You see, the calamities, there are ranks in them. There's the ordinary calamity, which is just a wanderer. Then there's the title calamity. The title calamity serves the king calamity, and for these ranks there are also bonuses to them. So the king will determine the rank of the subordinate calamity. So the king can choose to make one maybe a count calamity, which means that he gets about, at the very least, 40% increase in their average stats. So Nitri being a king calamity, she's way beyond the comprehension of godhood. I mean, she can literally just wipe out everyone. And at this power level, she returned to Earth. So she came back to Earth. She celebrated with the Azurians. You see, the Azurians, they were originally monsters she created, variants of monsters. She'd summon the eggs of these monsters and infuse her blood and energy into them. So when the eggs hatched, they became variants. These ones had similarities, they were basically some sort of human mutations. And when Nitri kept increasing in strength, she eventually advanced and evolved the entire race. So by evolving the entire race, she also evolved also, and that's how she got to god rank. When she got to god rank, she's still not strong enough to survive in the realm of monsters. It was at this point that she used one of her talents, which is the wishing talent. It sounds fun actually, being able to wish for anything. However, for a skill like this, there's a cost to it. You see, this wishing actually takes soul power, and if you make a wish and your soul power is not enough, you are dead. So when she made a wish to become a calamity, or at least as strong as a calamity, and she didn't have enough soul power to withstand that, and she actually fought with death at that instant, and she evolved into a calamity. Because of how intense the evolution was, her body fell apart during the process, and that's how she became a mist Azurian. So her actual form is not the physical human that is her previous form, but that she's just a walking mist. And as a result, no matter how big she becomes, her weight is just like a feather compared to other calamities. So when she became a calamity, she wanted to test out her powers. So she attacked a territory of one of the calamities, and due to her physique as a mist calamity, she was immune to all physical attacks. I mean, literally no physical attacks works on her. So although she was weaker than the other calamities, with that physique alone, she defeated all of them and took over their territory, and that's how she became a king calamity. So as a king calamity, she expanded her territory, grew in strength, continued raising her level. She even had to defend her territory against one of the first calamities. This calamity is so strong that its very presence turns any living thing to ice sculptures. Yeah, and Nitri fought him. So Nitri is a mist Azurian, immune to physical attacks. These calamities have no idea. But even so, some calamities are able to directly damage the soul, so she's careful and not always walking around the mist. At this point, she fought the first calamity and won. Then she launched a counter-attack to the calamity's territory, took that one also, and some calamities chose to save her. However, to her, they were just not enough to be considered as part of her army. She just left them to be on her land, living their normal lives. So Nitri spent her days in the wilderness, that's the realm of monsters. Then she returned to the earth, met the evil god. So the evil god, when he met Nitri, he was excited. he gathered out some magic artifacts to make a trap so Nitri couldn't escape. And here's the funny thing, you see, because the difference in power is so great, a calamity cannot sense a god, neither can a god sense a calamity, because it's like an ant walking beside an elephant. I mean, a primordial god who is regarded as the strongest is just an ant. And if this ant is beside an elephant, well, the elephant will notice the ant unless the ant gets into his vision. So this elder god, which is weaker than a primordial god, set up traps. There was even a barrier that would stay active for 24 hours, and even he couldn't break that barrier. So he made this barrier to trap Nitri and then went into the dungeon to face her. Well, he went into the dungeon with a smile on his face, and when he got out, he had PTSD. Yeah, just hearing anything related to Nitri was enough to make him wet his pants. Long story short, he was beaten so much. And you see, Nitri has this ability, she has a skill about life and death. It evolved from necromancy. So with this skill, he's able to stop someone from actually dying. So imagine being attacked by a lion, the lion is ripping you apart yet you can't die. That's what happened to him. So this elder god, after 24 hours of his whatever happened to him, after 24 hours he returned to the divine realm, and his family saw the state he was in. They were not pleased with it, so they gathered themselves to wage war against whoever they thought Nitri was. Nitri also had a way to observe those who fear her. That is the fear skill. So once you're afraid of her, you lose 60% of your stats, and she can basically see where you are or when you are. So she saw that the family of the other gods are plotting to launch an attack against her. So she launched her own preemptive strike into the divine realm, and she overestimated the gods, so she asked the Azurians to assist her in that. So she got to the divine realm first, right before a primordial god, and this primordial god was angry about the fact that a mere child was before him, not allowing him to go. So he took a stick, she rather took her stick and smacked Nitri on the head. He assumed that with Nitri being a mere mortal, she'd probably die, but she just felt like someone hitting her head with a stick. So the primordial god was shocked. Actually, she didn't know what to do. And Nitri, all those in the area were unalived. So the Azurians arrived in the divine realm, and they just started ransacking the place. They go to the kitchen, whatever they saw interesting, they take it. To the library, took every information they got. Basically everything, anything valuable, they took it. Even the supreme grade weapon. It is the only weapon known to slay a god, and it's actually a weapon capable of harming Nitri if they can actually hit her with it. Then again, it won't even cause much damage to her. So they took all these things, and Nitri remained in the divine realm for a few moments. So as Nitri was in the divine realm, the Xenos, they are a branch of the Azurians. They had a premonition that something bad was going to happen. And by bad, meaning Nitri losing control of one of her skills. So they evacuated all the Azurians and left Nitri in the divine realm. At that moment, Nitri wanted to test out a bomb she's been planning on creating. She calls it the Bye-Bye Energy Bomb, which is an infinity bomb. Basically, once it detonates, it just explodes continuously until its source of energy has been depleted. So when Nitri was making this bomb, she used the data from the monster realm. Basically, she'd hoped that it'd be enough to at least destroy one pantheon. She miscalculated. The density of energy in the divine realm and the monster realm is so great that, let's just say that compared to the monster realm, the density in the divine realm is just like, very small. Very, very small. So what she hoped to be maybe something like a grenade actually became a nuke. So she made 100 of these things, one per pantheon. And when she detonated the first one, she was knocked by her own explosion out of the divine realm. It was that powerful. And this explosion went on for a while actually. And by the coverage of this explosion, it took about 60% of the entire divine realm. And not only was that place destroyed actually. It became uninhabitable because Nitri also gained the ability to use anti-energy, which is reversed energy or heavy energy. Basically, she's the only one able to use it in a fight. Anti-energy just makes it difficult to use skills, and it's just a way to counteract other skills. So this destroyed area, people can't reside there because just getting there can destroy you. And the number of gods that died in that explosion, well, let's just say probably more than 1 million. You see, some of these gods have been around for over tens of thousands of years, and obviously they've had children who also became gods. So their numbers was huge, all just watching over this one earth. So these gods, they were all wiped out, to just a couple of them remaining. And those who survived fled to the earth. They thought that, oh, since nature is in the divine realm, well, she will live to the realm of monsters. But they were wrong. The earth is nature's home, and they are on the earth with her. However, as I said before, a calamity cannot sense a god, neither can a god sense a calamity due to the difference in strength. And nature wasn't going to waste her time finding some few insects that got away, so she just let them be. So she got to the earth, living a normal life, and then the Azurians decided to build a nation. So they found a land, and to set the foundation of the nation, Nitri took the abyssal sanctum, which is over 100 floors. She took more than I don't know, 2/3 of the dungeon out of the earth, out of the place. She just carried it and took it off. And the weird thing is, no one saw her do it. Well, besides the Azurians, none of the world saw her stealing a literal dungeon. And it's not just some small dungeon. One floor of the abyssal sanctum is basically like a city, and it gets bigger the lower you go. And she took this entire dungeon away from the earth. No one noticed it and relocated it to Azuria. So Azuria had its own dungeon. Although the level was high, they also came up with some measures for people to clear them, and no one knew of it. No one besides the Azurians. So the Azurians were quite smart actually. They decided to create a history of the entire nation, making it seem like Azuria has been there for over 600 years, and they succeeded. They just deceived the entire world. So Nitri was regarded as the princess because she didn't want to be the ruler. She just didn't want to do the paperwork. And Paxios, who is the final boss of the Abyssal Sanctum, became the king. He also evolved from a demigod Minotaur into a human, an Azurian human. So he is the king, Nitri is the princess, just living the life, taking it easy. So things are going well. Then a few years or so later, they discovered that there are aliens in the universe. Yes, there are aliens.